Funded in part by the Federal Highway Administration, the North Carolina Department of Transportation has worked collaboratively with the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction to produce this series on North Carolina scenic byways. Off the beaten path, many scenic byways crisscross our state, and residents and visitors travel at a leisurely pace. Designated by the North Carolina Department of Transportation, each route has been carefully selected to give visitors an opportunity to experience the diverse beauty and culture of the Tar Heel State. Follow these byways and you see breathtaking scenery, from the curvy mountain roads of the Blue Ridge Mountains and through the rural countryside of our Piedmont to our crystal blue coastline. There's much to discover as we explore roads less traveled. So, enjoy the journey. For a glimpse into our natural, cultural, and historical heritage, North Carolina Scenic Byways presents the Cherohala Skyway. Twisting through spectacular scenery, the Cherohala Skyway connects western North Carolina to eastern Tennessee. This name for this National Scenic Byway combines the two words from the names of the Cherokee National Forest and the Nantahala National Forest. Covering portions of what was once a Cherokee Indian trading route, this byway climbs to high scenic overlooks and skirts the shoreline of a beautiful North Carolina mountain lake. Sites close to this skyway celebrate the heritage and history of the Cherokee, who lived in all of the southern Appalachians, including Graham County. Located on a western edge of North Carolina, the Cherohala Skyway lies close to much natural beauty, including the Joyce Kilmer Slick Rock Wilderness and Lake Santilla. Native Americans lived in Graham County for more than 10,000 years, long before white settlers reached into this territory. Their villages along Sweetwater Creek and the Cheoah River were surrounded by hundreds of acres of cornfields and orchards. In the early 1900s, Cherokees were progressive. Sequoyah, a tribal member, invented an 85-character syllabary script for the Cherokee language. Soon, the first Native American newspaper, the Cherokee Phoenix, was published in 1828. Although they made efforts to develop their own communities, they were not able to maintain their independence. Under pressure from settlers seeking land and gold, Andrew Jackson agreed to remove Indian people from their southeastern homelands. In 1830, he authorized the Indian Removal Act. 8 years later, the U.S. Army removed Cherokees from their homeland. Almost all of the 17,000 Cherokees were forced to march towards territory set aside for them west of the Mississippi River. On this long walk, which is now remembered as the Trail of Tears, 1 in 4 Cherokees died. Some Cherokees escaped from the Trail of Tears and returned to North Carolina, where they worked and bought back their land. They are the ancestors of the snowbird Cherokees, who live here today. To learn more about Cherokee heritage, we stop at the small town of Robbinsville, which is close to the Cherohala Skyway. The notable Cherokee Heritage Trail site in Robbinsville is the Junaluska Memorial Site and Museum. This memorial of 7 large granite markers around the grave of Junaluska represent the 7 Cherokee clans. Each marker honors the great Cherokee leader and tells the story of his life. Born in 1779, Junaluska and his family kept moving as the borders of the Cherokee territory kept shrinking. Junaluska was held in high esteem by both Cherokees and whites. In 1811, Cherokee oral tradition records that he met with Tecumseh at Soco Gap. Junaluska refused to join other American Indian tribes to try and defeat the whites. And some believe that Junaluska later saved Andrew Jackson's life at the Battle of Horseshoe Bend. During the turbulent times when Cherokee Indians were forced from their homes, Junaluska and his brother Wachacha bravely tried to escape the trail. His brother was successful, but Junaluska was recaptured and sent to Oklahoma. The Junaluska Museum is dedicated to documenting the history of Cherokee Indians in Graham County. Inside this museum, you see exhibits of important artifacts from the Cherohala Valley that date back more than 6,000 years. While you are visiting the Junaluska Memorial Site, you might want to follow a medicine plant's walking trail that loops around the hill below the gravesite. The medicine wheel displayed at this location presents the sacred directions and symbolizes the Cherokees' relationship with the earth. The Cherokees knew and used many medicinal plants. Marked along the way, many of these plants are the source of our modern medicine. As you walk along this trail, you find resting benches that have been named in honor of deceased members of the snowbird community. A visit to this site is a time to reflect. Near Robbinsville, you can drive or walk the Tatham Gap Trail. This is where, in 1838, North Carolina troops escorted around 300 Cherokee prisoners from Fort Montgomery across the Snowbird Mountains to the start of their 1,000-mile walk to the west. This is significant because it was the only road cut by the U.S. Army for Cherokee removal. Like other ancient trails made by game and early people, parts of this road could be thousands of years old. Our next site is a shift from history to natural features, which are also very old. To get there, we travel from Robbinsville around the bottom of Lake Santila and up the mountains to an area that is part of the Nantahala National Forest. At Joyce Kilmer Memorial Forest, you can explore one of the very few remaining tracts of virgin hardwood in the Appalachian. This forest and the surrounding wilderness areas are protected, so when you travel here, you must be on foot. The Joyce Kilmer Memorial Forest is an example of a cove hardwood forest that has rich soils, abundant moisture, and a variety of plants. Follow the path, and soon you will see the waters of Little Santila Creek. Most of the surrounding land was logged, but the area around this creek has been spared. As you walk, it's important to stay on the trail to avoid trampling plants or damaging tree roots. Take time to notice how the floor of the forest is carpeted with moss-covered logs and ferns. If you are there in the spring, wildflowers are sprinkled throughout the woods along the sides of the trail. Continue down the lower half of the trail, and you come across a grove of hemlocks. Unfortunately, these trees are being attacked by an insect, and most may die. Tiny predatory beetles that feed on the insect were released into Joyce Kilmer Memorial Forest in hopes of saving some of these magnificent trees. At the center, where the trail crosses itself, you find a memorial plaque, which honors the memory of a soldier and poet named Joyce Kilmer. He wrote many poems about nature, but this is his most famous line: "I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree." As you walk along the upper loop of the trail, you come across tulip poplars. These towering trees can stand up to 100 feet tall, and in circumference can measure more than 20 feet. You can recognize a tulip poplar by the shape of its leaves. The giant poplar trees seen here may be as old as 450 years. The trek up and down this winding trail becomes easier as you return to the bottom of the loop. And it's hard to leave the majestic beauty of Joyce Kilmer Memorial Forest behind, but we must move on. We continue our journey through Graham County and hop onto the official scenic byway route and drive leisurely through forested areas. The Cherohala Skyway starts at Santila Gap and ascends along Cedar Top Mountain. This peak, along with Little Huckleberry Knob, Hooper Bald, Laurel Top, and Johns Knob, forms the backbone to the byway. At the beginning of the Skyway, a kiosk welcomes visitors. A detailed map identifies key features to keep an eye out for as you follow the route. It's time to take off. The first few miles skirt the mountain slopes and gently curve to the left and right. The route eventually weaves westward up and through the southern Appalachian Mountains, formed over 200 million years ago. Keep climbing gently higher through these northern hardwood forests and swing into Chute Cove to catch sight of distant mountain views. This easy grade cuts through rock as it leads you around and up the mountains. There are many pull-offs, But don't hesitate to stop when you get to Huckleberry. Huckleberry Knob is the highest point in the Cherohala Ranger District that covers 120,000 acres of Nantahala forest. Continue on. It's exhilarating to look ahead while driving down the road. Further along the Skyway, as you continue to travel west, you come to the trailhead for Hooper Bald. This overlook provides a vista that sweeps back over the Skyway. At another spot, you can look way off in the distance and see Hooper Bald. These partially bare and grassy knobs are remnants of early clearing and upland open grazing. Before these lands were protected by the U.S. Forest Service, lumber companies moved into this area and cleared large swaths of forest. If you like, you can follow the Hooper Bald trailhead and take a quarter-mile hike that leads you up through the woods to the Bald. This is near the site of an old hunting preserve where many exotic species, including the Russian boar, were imported in 1908. Leave Hooper Bald and travel on. There are many other places to pull off where you can see evidence of balds. Our very last stop on the Cherohala Skyway is at the Santila Pull-Off. Over 1 mile high in elevation, this is the highest overlook along the Skyway. Before we leave Graham County, let's take a side trip through Robbinsville and onto Route 28. We travel this a short way to reach Fontana Dam and Reservoir, which is our last stop. Located across a gorge on the Little Tennessee River in northern Graham County, Fontana Dam is a site that shouldn't be missed. Operated by the Tennessee Valley Authority, this is the highest concrete dam east of the Rocky Mountains. The hydroelectric facility, designed to fulfill the generating needs of a country at war, took approximately 3 years to complete. Here you see the spillway tunnels. If there is too much water in the reservoir, the spillway tunnels can be used to divert the water through a large underground tunnel to be released downstream of the dam. Fontana Dam is 2,365 feet long and generates up to 241,000 kilowatts of electricity. Towering 480 feet in height, Fontana Dam backs up water for 30 miles and provides a major source of electric energy for the Tennessee Valley. Fontana Reservoir, which is the water backed up behind the dam, has over 11,000 acres of water surface, providing many different types of recreational water activities. Now it's finally time to leave Graham County and the beauty of its natural resources to return home. Whether it's the discovery of Cherokee Indian history or appreciation of the majestic trees in Nantahala National Forest, you'll always remember the beauty of the Cherohala Skyway.